Well, hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics live on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us tonight and apologies for starting a little behind schedule. Well, it's a big day for Nigerian politics, as the case is usually in times like this, as the ruling All Progressives Congress is tightening its grip ahead of 2027, swiftly appointing and ratifying a new national chairman following the unexpected resignation of Abdullahi. Now, the emergence of Humanitarian Affairs Minister Nentawe Yilwatda is seen by analysts as a strategic reset, a move aimed at political balancing with the APC's ranks as the countdown to the general elections begin. While the APC reorganizes and attracts more defectors to its fold, the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, remains bogged down by internal wranglings with its much-anticipated NEC meeting, providing a clear path to what would likely be a solution come Ibadan November 15 and 16 as it plans for its forthcoming convention. This, of course, was the aftermath of its 101st NEC meeting. So it looks like everybody is trying to get his or their houses in order ahead of 2027. Now, what do these new developments represent in the grand scheme as well as preparations for the next general elections? We're going to get into the details in just a moment with our panel, who happens to be the group political editor of Media Trust. Join us in just a moment for more insights on these political issues. Well, welcome back to the program. Let's get into the heart of the conversation. A lot of politics to get around. Who best to talk about than the man who is keeping tabs on all things politics in Nigeria, our group political editor. Mr. Clement Oloyede is joining us for tonight's conversation. Thank you very much for stopping by. It's been a busy week, as is the case is all the time with Nigerian politics. But quite the coincidence, the APC and the PDP are having their NEC meeting at the same time, and both have contradicting or rather polarizing outcomes. On one part, the APC has decided to go with someone who is not necessarily a political household name as its new leader for the party. Let's start with that. What do you make of it? I mean, I read the piece earlier in the Daily Trust about how he is tipped to be the next APC national chairman. What do we know so far about why he was the choice for the APC?
Oh, thank you very much, Abdullahi, and viewers. Good evening. Just like you said, it's been a very busy week for both parties, not just the two of them, even the ADC underneath. They've been making a lot of this thing. But to just go straight to the conversation, the choice of Professor Nentawe, his last name is still a little bit difficult for a lot of us to pronounce. So maybe I'll just retain calling him Professor Nentawe. Over the time, all of us will get used to calling that name. His choice up till last night was still a shock. And even up to this morning, a lot of us went with the story and that decided to go with the story. We're still a bit skeptical, as much as we're certain that, okay, this has been the decision that has been concluded even before last night. We're still like, how is this going to pan out? Is this really going to happen? Because the ruling party deciding to now hand over the reins of his party structure to someone who only joined partisan politics just about 4 years ago is something that is a brain racker, if you can say that. But like you said, with Nigerian politics, nothing is given, nothing is certain. His choice, to answer your question, is believed to serve dual purpose. And the first of those purposes is to pacify and placate the agitations of party stalwarts, party faithfuls from the North Central, where the former chairman before Dr. Umar Ganduje came in, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, where he came from. Since Senator Abdullahi Adamu left in 2023, it's been news that stakeholders in the North Central have continuously agitated that this is supposed to come back to them. But the question, the answers that have been given to them from the party leadership has always been that the decision to zone it back to the northwest was not an arbitrary decision.
You mean the north central?
No, to zone it
at that point.
At that point,
right.
it was with the north central. Then Ganduje from the northwest took over. From yesterday, you could also still hear the party national secretary also explain this process that the NEC, which is the second highest decision-making body, which also takes decision on behalf of the convention. Anytime there's no convention, whatever decision NEC takes is seen as binding. It just needs to be ratified at the convention. It was the NEC that zoned, after Abdullahi Damo, zoned it to northwest and did some switch here and there, gave some the national legal advisor's position to the north central instead. So the argument has always been that the party is not doing anything wrong, but that agitation has refused to go away because the argument has been that the Northwest is well positioned in the APC-led administration already. It has the Deputy Senate President, and you decide, not just that, it has also the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Right. And now the chairman is also from there. So the agitations has been a genuine agitation. So I feel on one hand, the leadership of the party decided, okay, now that Dr. Ganduje has resigned for whatever reason has been advanced, this is an opportunity to perhaps right some wrongs, rebalance the issues, and that's one hand where Professor Nentawe was considered.
What about the angle of the religious?
Oh, that's where I'm coming. That's the second. Right. I said it serves a dual purpose. That's the second purpose because it's not just about turning it back to the North Central. If you're looking at North Central, there are several other big wigs. We had on good authority that the president was not against the candidature of former Nasarawa State Governor Tanko Almakura. He is a party faithful, so to say. He has been loyal to the party, and he's a loyalist of the president. But the presidency and the leadership were also looking at beyond just giving it to North Central. There has been since 2022 when the president selected his running mate, there has still been this nagging issue of a Muslim ticket. Nigeria is still very polarized around religion, not just region, but about religion also. So how best to solve this issue than to just use one stone to kill two birds? We give it to the North Central, which has been agitating, and we give in that North Central, we look for a Christian, which can also pacify and placate the agitation from the middle belt and the Christian minority, so to say, in the north. So I think is coming in serve those two purposes. But still, a lot of people were still shocked that if that is the case you're trying to solve, there are other big weights in North Central that are Christians, in names of the likes of former Governor of Plateau, Simon Lalong has been brought in. Of course, we all know that Simon Lalong is the political mentor, godfather of the new chairman. But people were saying that why not Simon Lalong? There are also names like former Governor of Plateau State, Joshua Darie, who has, after his pardon, has joined the APC. So these are names. At a point, there were also the mention of the current SGF, George Akume, who immediately just said, no, I'm not interested in this. I am satisfied with the position the president has given me, and I'm working on that. So people were asking that, why did the APC decide now to go with someone that you could describe as a newbie in the political space when you're confronting a very strong coalition? People are asking questions that anywhere you mention the name of David Mark, who is the interim national chairman of the ADC, the new coalition, almost everyone knows him, knows that this is the former Senate president. But when you mention the name of Professor Nentawe, people say, who is he?
Okay. Let's provide some context before we come back a little bit to whether it makes political sense or this is the biggest risk that the APC under the Tinubu leadership has made so far. So who is Professor Nentawe Yilwatda? Let's run through what is public knowledge already, right? Born August 8, 1968 in Dongong, Kanke local government area of Plateau State. Been there, of course. Know a lot of history about that. So he's an academic, prof, obviously. This is something that is quite obvious. and a lot of people can track how he has served for 12 years as Director of ICT and lecturer at the Federal University of Agriculture in Makurdi, and so on and so forth. But we now get to the relevant aspects of why perhaps his choice makes some sense. Between 2017 to 2021, he was appointed Resident Electoral Commissioner in Benue State by INEC, led key reforms such as IDP and persons with disability voting and piloting the electronic electoral system. In 2022, he resigned because he wanted to contest for the governorship election in Plateau State, which he lost, and of course graciously accepted the Supreme Court ruling following the success of Governor Caleb Mutfwang. And this is just, setting the stage for what is to come, because he then secured that ministerial appointment in 2024 when Betta Edu unceremoniously and somewhat disgracefully had to bow out because of that investigation, because he became her successor as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. And then, of course, we got to this particular point where less than a year into that particular development, he's now the chairman of the APC. So, I don't know whether this is, preparing, he's had enough time to prepare for this particular role, but let's talk about it. Knowing what you know about Nigerian politics, know what you know about what is at stake, especially in the context of 2027, does his choice make political sense, or is this a risk for the APC?
Well, since everything we will have to say will still be in the realm of speculation and just permutations, first is both a political advantage and a political risk. And I will, in just a few sentences, I will try to explain the two angles. First, the political advantage is what I've already said earlier. His choice addressed two major concerns: the North Central agitations and the Christian, Middle Belt Christian, addressing the Muslim ticket issue of the presidency. You could say that as the advantage. But beyond these two issues, there are other advantage. When you are reading out his trajectory, his career, you could see from 2017 to 2021, he was in INEC. He was the resident electoral commissioner. For a lot of people, without speculating much, they feel that gave him understanding of the working within INEC.
Right.
Not negatively connoted, but just that at least it could help the party to navigate some intricacies, not to fall into murky waters, like what the party fell into in the 2019 election in Zamfara State that cost it. And with someone like him on ground, he will understand that no, we cannot get away with this and that, because he understands the working of INEC. But some will still speculate that it goes beyond that. We'll leave that to political analysts, politicians to speculate on that. But secondly, is also to look at his trajectory as an academic. He's an ICT-focused person. He's an engineer, and I think he was an ICT director in his former place of work before he joined University of Agriculture, before he joined INEC. So this is also something that comes in two ways to the advantage of the APC. The party has been driving its e-registration membership to make sure that it gathers the data of all its members. His knowledge on ICT comes in handy in this. Then secondly, for the party in national election, is believed to be knowledgeable about how INEC came about its ICT-driven improvement in the election. So he is expected to also guide the APC on what to do, what not to do, to avoid falling into tight corners with the election in 2027. If he remains the
So it's a smart choice when it comes to election preparations.
Yes, preparation for election looks like a smart choice, but politically, because like we said, his name doesn't really ring much bell in the political heavyweight schemes. He's someone that will need introduction almost at every gathering. He's someone that you could run into. You probably may not even recognize him, except you know that you are from Plateau or you've been seeing his face on the TV. The humanitarian ministry that he heads, he just recently got, it's just there for about 9 months. So he has still really not made much name for himself on the national scene. So politically, it looks like a gamble because, like I mentioned earlier, where the ADC is parading the likes of David Mark, former Senate President, as his international chairman, APC now as Professor Nentawe. Where it is parading the likes of Rauf Aregbesola as his national secretary, it has Senator Ajibola Basiru. So if you weigh this, it's a little bit not on the balance for APC.
Right.
But of course, it's not just ADC, there's PDP also. So, but at the end of the day, I think what is left to be seen is how you'll be able to work with the political bigwigs. Whether he is the one that leads the party to the next election is a different thing. But even before then, I know today now they announced that the congresses at the local government will be put on hold till like maybe after December. They have extended the tenure of the system. But if he's in charge for that period, that is a very contentious period. The ward ESCOs, the local government ESCOs, the state ESCOs, how he's able to manage the different egos that will be coming in. People, the governors will have their candidates, the leaders in the National Assembly will have their candidates, some close to the presidency will have their candidates. How he will be able to stand and look at them and say, no, this is what we are going to do, this is the decision of the party, and this is where we are going. This is what a lot of people, observers, will want to see in the next
I suppose he's going to get a crash course type of experience.
Yes. He doesn't have that much time to learn. He has to get in and start work immediately.
But let's talk about whose choice he is. Because you get a sense that because of his political exposure or relative political exposure, right, and participation, as we have established, he's not someone who easily comes to mind when you talk about political stakeholders. Whose choice is he? Because the APC governors had a meeting with the president last night, and for all we know, they might have discussed a couple of options, right? But who do you think chose him? The governors, the president, or was he just the only one?
Well, I think to leave the room open for other opinions, but from what we've gathered, is definitely a presidency choice. From the way the ruling party is being governed, you know that nobody can emerge without the presidency's voice in this. And looking at the kind of person that he is, that he's not really a political juggernaut that everybody...
Not a traditional politician.
Yeah, not a traditional... No, his name is not something that has been in the mouth of people since Ganduje left. So he's definitely someone that was brought in.
Right.
But like I said, if you still check his trajectory politically from 2022, he came in from INEC and won the APC ticket in a primary election that had the then deputy governor. It's because of a backing of his political mentor, the then governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, the current senator. And
we also know that Lalong served as DG of the campaign.
So what shocked a lot of people is that, okay, with Lalong and Tinubu's relationship, why not Lalong? But the feelers we've been hearing is that at some level is obvious. It looks like Lalong was not interested. Perhaps he's more satisfied with his position that he is at the Senate, which is more comforting, so to say. It's not about the rigor of things. He left his ministerial position to go back to the Senate. Perhaps, some are still suspecting, some are saying that he's not happy with the way he was treated after the election, the ministerial slot that was given. A lot of people felt that as the DG of the campaign, he deserves better than the Ministry of Labour as it was then. So some are still suspecting that perhaps that was why he didn't get a position, or perhaps the presidency felt they needed someone else younger, someone that probably could be tilted towards a certain distance. But to answer your question directly, whose choice is definitely the choice of the presidency. The governors, as powerful as they are, probably they will have wanted one of their own, maybe a former governor or so. That has always been the tendencies that the governors have always followed. They always have the interest of their members, whether serving or former. And so it's difficult for the governors to go out of their way and say, okay, let's look for around Nigeria, who is a former a governorship aspirant, and let's pick him. No, I don't think that's what played out. What we gathered from many sources that on the story worked in yesterday for today was that this is a presidency's choice, but whether the choice was made to give him the full control or whether the choice was made to have someone that can be easily teleguided is something that we will get to know later.
And on that point, let's talk about acceptance, right? Because it's clear that all people under the APC banner would have to bend the knee and accept this particular choice, because we have not heard any discordant tunes regarding his selection, right? But what could be the blowback here in terms of acceptance, in terms of his influence on, you know, the APC has quite the lineup of heavyweight politicians, people who would teach Professor Nentawe how to play politics, right? What do you think of acceptance?
Well, if Professor Nentawe expects the political bigwig to just come and bend the knee, I think he's mistaken. He will have to prove himself. He will have to establish to the political bigwigs that he is now the new sheriff in town. I have the presidency backing, and this is the way it's going to be. But that must be done with wisdom, must be done with care. Because, you know, for instance, the Governors Forum, the Progressive Governors Forum is the biggest power broker in the ruling party. So he has to work in tandem with them. He needs someone that can be like a bridge for him, someone that can talk to these people, because it will be difficult for him to, at this moment, the early part of this is term, it will be difficult for him to really command the respect of the governors, to command the respect of the bigwigs in the party. But as time goes on, if they start seeing the policies he's bringing, the path that he's taking, there's election coming on in Anambra, there's an election coming up in Osun and Ekiti next year, there's the FCT election. If they see his performance, even, you remember, when Ganduje came in, there were a lot of skepticism, but he had 3 elections he had to face immediately, and he won 2 for the APC. So with that, he was able to stabilize the party, and some of the policies he was bringing stabilized. So for Nentawe, it will not be a different thing. His own is just that it's going to be more difficult. Ganduje was a former governor. He knew how to talk to the governors. For Nentawe, he may most likely need someone.
He doesn't have a lot of leverage.
He doesn't have a leverage. I think at this point, his only leverage will be that the presidency is behind him.
Right.
Most of the time now, he may just have to defer to the president, to the presidency to do the talking for him, or defer to, because I believe the Imo State governor, who the progressive chairman was one that nominated him, I believe that the Imo State governor is the voice of the presidency in all this. So if he has someone like Uzodinma behind him constantly, he will be the one that will be weathering the storm for him. And as time goes on, if he survives the 3 months within the party politicking, he might start now making his. But let me add this before I run my thought, is that he doesn't have that much time to learn on the rope. The coalition-led ADC is constantly coming out with statements, coming out with this and challenging. They are gaining grants. And the PDP that people are trying to write off, they seems to be putting their house in order. They have finally agreed on a date for the national convention. So these are, the APC, you can't write off the PDP. So Nentawe has to learn on the job, but while he's learning, he has 2 major political opposition to fight with.
Right.
And to get things on the grid.
And just before we wrap things up, let's talk about that last point you made about the PDP, because they also had their NEC meeting earlier in the day. Some stern comments about some of its members taking part in coalition meetings and things like that. They say it will not be tolerated, but we know PDP has become a party that is very easy to disrespect. We've seen so many of their members, disregard the party's position.
Yes.
But talk to me about this November 15, 16 convention in Ibadan. They've also, established the 2 committees that would see the planning to it. But do you think the PDP is healing from its years of dealing with the fallout of the loss of the 2015 elections and other sundry issues?
I would like to say that the party is healing, but it's too early to call. While a lot of attention has been focused on the agreement on the date for the convention, what strikes me most is the change of venue.
Right.
At the last NEC, or the previous NEC, the 99th NEC, it was agreed that the convention will take place in Kano. What changed between then and now for it to be moved to Ibadan?
Atiku left.
Atiku left.
Right.
But then don't forget, Ibadan that is being taken to now is a place where the governor is already being seen as a potential candidate of the party. So I think what is happening at the moment is that both parties that are conflicting at this moment, the Wike faction and the Makinde and group, are giving and taking. Okay, the Makinde faction had to give way to allow Anyanwu to resume, to supersede over this neck, to call this neck and supersede over the neck. But now the Wike also has to give in and say, okay, we agree to take the elective convention to Oyo State. Of course, it's not the primary, it's not going to be the convention for the primary, but don't forget, this elective convention, that's where the members of the leadership is going to be structured. And you're taking it to the backyard of someone that is interested in the ticket of the party. I think these are the things that over the next weeks, the next month, we'll start to see more. I don't believe that the Wike group will just fold their hands and say, okay, let the convention hold in Ibadan and whatever comes out of it. I think they're also going to come out, marshal another point, another plan on how to fight back. But I think the success of the NEC today is a good thing for Nigerian democracy. It's a good thing for lovers of democracy to see that at least the once largest party in the country has been able to put it out in order in a way. Well, I think there were reports that Wike, I'm not sure Wike was at the NEC meeting, but Anyanwu, his main man, was the secretary, and he was there. So at least it shows to a very large extent that maybe this the committee headed by Saraki, Bukola Saraki, the Constitution Committee, is working and is trying to bring the house back in order. But whether this newfound peace will last is something to be seen, because the ADC is breathing on the neck of both the PDP and the ADC, but more on the neck of PDP. So how the PDP is going to survive the threat from ADC and the internal wrangling that is still going to come out of this new development is something that a lot of people will be willing to see.
Say what you say about Nigerian politics not being rewarding in terms of the deliverables. It definitely has its shock value in terms of drama and intrigue. Mr. Clement Oloyede, thank you so much for providing some context to this conversation.
Thank you very much
I appreciate you for stopping by.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.